What are TLEs, or transient events? Hello, everyone. My name is Wade DeWalby, and welcome to another documentary stream. Now, why am I basically want to do this? Well, I'm going to be talking about transient events. What are they, and what is it? They're basically a phenomena that happens into very violent thunderstorms. And when the lightning strikes or anything like that, it causes a phenomenon called a sprite. And sprites usually referred to as something I forgot, but it is a same principle in the sky that is actually higher than the cloud layer that surrounds the atmosphere. The reason why they're red is because the atmosphere of the oxygen or the nitrogen is actually red color in the altitude area. Now, the lightning, it's been like lightning so many times around here. So I want to talk about, there's a bunch of these. So there are blue jets. Hold on, let me just blue starter, blue jet, gigantic jet, elf, sprites, secondary jet, and a halo. And then recently, from, I should say, quote unquote person called Pico's Hank, he actually and somebody else discovered a new also phenomenon called ghosts. It's pretty much, I think some of these stand for something. Sprites do actually stand for something, but I really forgot. But all of them are rare, but if you get them at the right spot, you'll be able to basically see them pretty well at the dark. But are they hot? No. Actually, they say it's actually just plasma that basically is exciting the particles in the atmosphere. It's like the auroras, except the auroras are from radiation from the sun and the solar wind that's attracting our magnetic field and causing in the poles, and that's why you see them. And the stronger the solar wind, the more you see the aurora over those. It gets bigger from the poles, and if you see aurora over here that you normally don't see, that's not a good sign, because that means that But don't worry, that usually happens in a long time. And the atmosphere of the Earth has different types of, what am I even saying? The sprites are, wait, I already talked about that. Sorry, just a bit nervous. And the night, I can't believe this. Oh my God. Okay. Blue jet. Oh my God, I forgot. I'm not going to edit this. I'm not. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot. I'm going to have to think. I'm sorry. Something's distracting me. I have to.
Okay, I'll get out of your way.
Sprites. So it is very rare, and if you slow down the time on a sprite, you can actually see it doesn't actually technically go up. It actually starts right in somewhere around here, and it starts branching out of but they say when lightning is very powerful, that interacts, with the, etc. And I don't know much about ions. You know, if you know about how to make ions, I kind of have like missing books of some of the things that I learned from school, and a lot of them are what types of, I probably will learn later on because some things are missing in my book, in my brain. So I probably won't be making sense because it's just, but when it is very interesting, when I actually saw this stuff, it was just interesting. So it took a lot of years. It was first discovered in 1980s or something like that. And it was actually the sprite part. And I don't understand about the elves, so I don't know much about them, or I'm not saying it right, but it's ELVE. Um, and halos, uh, a halo thing, sprites, secondary jet, blue starter, etc. And uh, the ones that kind of make no sense to my brain is the blue jet and the blue starter. I don't know much about them. I don't know, so I can't explain to you, but I do know what a sprite is, definitely. Secondary jet is possibly is the after is when the particles are the same color when it goes all the way down, colors change from the altitude. It doesn't mean that all the objects change color when you go up there. No, 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 no. It actually just is something. I don't know what it is, but you probably know what it is. If you, I don't know. Why am I even explaining this? If you, okay, never mind. It's just so the atmosphere color changes over the particles. Mostly, it's nitrogen and oxygen and some other atmosphere things that I think it's second one is I can't remember. It's somewhere like I don't know, but I do know it's nitrogen, and nitrogen is mostly I don't know what color type it is, but oxygen, um, is common, but still. But what's really cool is that you can actually see what is the Earth's atmosphere. I should say what is actually doing. So I can actually basically sort of analyze how the what is the Earth's atmosphere made out of. I'm not sure if you can actually do it in different types of atmosphere, but possibly Earth seems to have the most, but we haven't seen any other of these transient events on other planets, especially not Mars, because Mars doesn't have no friction or enough for clouds to form in friction. Venus, they do know that it does lightning, but there's nothing that was recorded because only that was back in the from the 80s to the 70s. That was maybe I think no 70s six I can't remember, but the Soviets with their Venera program they didn't capture anything because a lot of the lens caps did not come off. So the surface of it we don't know much about. We do know the composition of the atmosphere. It's just that but it's really cool. I never seen one in real life, not with my own eyes, but they're so fast that they're like you have to use a super slow camera, so slow or fast. I don't know with a fast shutter speed. I don't know. I'm not like an expert photographer. I probably said that terribly, but mark my I should say language. It's just weird. My speech is still terrible. Um, no, to no the person that takes pictures basically the person that's called that topographer or okay if you know what I mean I'm happy if you don't know what I mean I'm upset because I can't say it it's just I don't want to offend any people because I might accidentally say something inappropriate and then I'll get terminated from YouTube. So I sometimes have to be very careful what I say. So careful that I'm really scared. Um, so yeah, um, they're very interesting. This makes no sense. I should have actually wrote this down, but I didn't. I just go forward and just see what happens, and it doesn't work. When I start a stream, it always fails, and this is why I don't know. But when all right, so I don't think you have to learn anything. Let's try something that you haven't learned. All right, so let's just go like to the hardest stuff, like I don't know. But if you heard of this stuff, then you probably know what I'm talking about. There are many other YouTube videos that explain a lot about sprites and transluminant events. If I've seen one for myself, I'll definitely would basically tell you about it. But it hasn't, because usually I'm always inside. But I'm learning still. Lightning isn't scary when you are not dumb. Lightning, it has a mind of its own, and it takes weird routes to where it actually does. And there's a lot of types that, you think that it's just one lightning, but there's also like different types of, ones that are like first starting cloud to ground and ground to air or something like that. Some two parts I don't know much about, but so basically they are there are the ones that look like spider web, but basically I think it's something else. It's but lightning is seems to be. I learned when I hear lightning, I normally am not scared, but usually I basically try to do a experiment. Well, to see if if this is right. Here's my little theory. The lightning strikes, and whatever happens, sometimes it takes a while. You never heard of a lightning strike, and then all of a sudden you see the power go off, and then you hear a massive lightning noise. Wait, thunder. Thunder, and it shakes your house. And what I believe is that the ice crystals and all of that, whatever the debris or something goes together, and the wind and stuff, it collects the electric charge and charges us up into those clouds. And eventually, once it actually reaches to a place that is closer enough to strike, which maybe could be a radio tower. No, that wouldn't make sense. Probably somewhere like a tree to make that loud explosion, even though that doesn't matter because it's just electricity. It's weird how it makes noise. And when you actually electrocute yourself, if especially the best way to get electrocuted is to actually put that wrapper thing that you put like the I think it's that stuff that you have. It looks like a napkin, but what it does is it uh de-electrifies. I don't think that's a word. The clothes, and I have a feeling that if you feel like you're gonna shock somebody, I don't know if it actually works to actually get rid of your electricity. I wonder if it's actually filled with negative charge. I don't know how that works, and positrons and all that stuff. I probably will learn it, but it's still not sticking to my head. It's just, maybe my autism can't handle that, maybe. If that actually is the problem, then that just sucks. Never knowing how I have to like research. That's stupid. I'm not letting that bother me. No, I want to learn. Uh, but things that I've learned, it just, disappears. But only things that I like, they keep. But with small stuff, it's just like, but that doesn't matter because we're talking about transluminant events. I gotta stay on topic because I always drift off to the other side. And now, the recent one, which, I hope I don't get in trouble by doing this. I shouldn't. Ghosts, which, are actually called something, I don't know, but it actually is, it's not part of the aurora, so it's not part of magnetic fields. That's when they actually add it into these categories. And next time, if you have a very active thunderstorm, make sure to actually have a very fast camera, because usually they always say slow or fast, the shutter speed. um but I don't okay what I don't get is if you have a video camera and you have a camera but it makes video. I see YouTubers have these cameras. I'm like, how? They're cameras, you just take a picture. How is it recording something? I thought cameras were the things that you carry, like this thing. This. That's what I don't get. How come, if you know it, then tell me in the comments because I can't. It makes no sense. I tell my mom, she doesn't explain it. She does, but then I lose it. So I always forget why is different thing. It makes no sense because it's a camera. After all my life, a camera is a camera. It takes pictures. It doesn't film. It can't film. It's a shutter. I mean, why would they even have that? It's just a camera. I mean, I understand that you're taking pictures of something, but maybe you can control the shutter speed, but that's like taking so many pictures. Okay, sorry, I'm not, trying to, I don't know. It seems like every time a lightning strikes, it always rains. It seems like when you hear a thunderstorm, just as soon as it's over, the after that loud noise is gone, it rains. It almost always happens. You know, say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm gonna rain on you." Have you always thought about that? It's been like storming all this time. It's like it comes from. It actually comes from above, like over to like the North Pole. Not the north. Just say it actually comes from. Okay, north, west, east. Okay. Oh my god, I lost it. Um. So east, it comes from. No, it comes from the west. Because I don't know, but it does come from this way. It comes down, and sometimes it usually comes from Texas and up. And then sometimes it comes from down, maybe because the cold from Canada makes that, and all that warm tropical stuff from, down there from Gulf of Mexico. Maybe that's the cause. That's why the Midwest always has weird weather. It usually, when it goes through, it really gets weird when it gets into winter. Sometimes it like snows, and then it's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit. It was like, sometimes it goes like -4, and then it goes to like 50, and it just like, it messes up everything. But it does not create tornadoes. It does, but not very often than like Kansas. Maybe Kansas, well, Kansas is warm, right? Yeah. I don't know. I only been to Kansas once. I never seen a tornado on my site. I probably actually seen it. I actually made a video, or yeah, it was recording over at on my iPad, And it was actually possibly not a tornado. It had to be a, a cloudburst. I think that's what it's called, where a bunch of rain or wind comes crashing down because it was just instant. That had to be that. And that's bad news if you're an airplane. Once that air drive comes down, you stall and just the electronics freak out because you have lift, but you're just pinning down and it says you're stalling, and then you're like, they always have accidents, and over time they have like a warning system to let people know because it's bad news. Once an airplane goes by, it just destroys it. It just forces it down. It's like, that's how much wind it actually does. And it is like so much. It's like the opposite of a tornado. I think it's worse than tornado because it has a wide area. But tornado is actually, it comes in different, varieties of sizes. And F-Zero is very weak. So basically, I never encountered a tornado, but yeah, which is good. But I have actually probably, there's some tornadoes around here, but they're sort of rare. But usually a lot it happens in Kansas. It always does. It just is. That's why it is Tornado Alley. It's when the warm weather just comes right in, and then you got the cold air, and it just bam, it constant. That's why you got these, because hot and cold. When you have a cold day or a hot day or something like that, it usually makes a tornado or a supercell. It always does most of the time. I'm not a tornado chaser type. I'm not like an expert meteorologist. So it's incredible I know about space. And then actually transient events is actually maybe weather. Maybe it's like half meteorology because it goes so high to the atmosphere that's like near space. The International Space Station actually does stay in a close orbit. And it has seen this transient events because they're so high up, they can, but I wonder if one day there's going to be a satellite that goes so low and designed to actually go through a sprite or an airplane or something like the SR-7 Blackbird, because that plane, I think it is so high. It is just, it's like you just see like something flicker up there, and it really is that high. It is so high that it actually interacts with the ionosphere, and it makes ions into the atmosphere. And it actually, if you have an ion detector or something, it will just be active. And they also say that also the magnetic field, it creates a small magnetic field in the process. So yeah, basically there'll be a magnetic field, and then bam, you got a sprite. It happens, you got that, and then it makes bam. It just is like quick. It happens so fast. It's just so cool. Oh, that's beautiful. And yeah, it's just crazy. But what about ball lightning? Well, ball lightning is, I just learned this, by the way, very recently. And not very recently, but just recently. And there's not much about it. There is, it's called St. Elmo's Fire, and it's actually in a game called Surviving Mars, and there is a mystery thing that's called St. Elmo's Fire, and it's it's interesting. I don't know, But it's not a transient event. It's not. We don't know if it's real. We do know the composition, but I never seen one. If I have, I probably never knew what it was because that was back then. But it is possible. The reason why they say it even passes through glass is the possible way. If it's just light and particles that are possibly so hot, very close, that possibly it goes to glass like a laser. So maybe that's why it does go through glass, because they're basically, it does have mass, but it just disappears once that fusion. It's basically just a small star, but it shouldn't be not floating. It should be just staying on the ground flat. Unless if it's lighter or something, which if it does exist, it should be on the ground and not in the air, because gravity should pull it down. I mean, the sun is exactly possibly what it is, but if it does in fact does exist, this will be very interesting. Imagine making a plasma ball, which of course games sort of have it. Like, for instance, a game called Half-Life 2 Episode 1. When you go in the core of the Citadel, if you played it, go try it. It's really interesting. It is it's this weird sphere that seems to move around, but for some reason, if you go into like NoClip, some weird rooms. Yeah, it's just weird how they made the action things. I wonder what that core is possibly made out of. It has to be some type of plasma, but it does exist. The only way you can make something like that is possibly stabilizing, but it makes no sense unless you have a magnetic field, which that may even actually, because we actually made a magnetic field called a particle accelerator, and we basically just shoot particles right into each other and make a small explosion. It's a big explosion, but it's just it doesn't last that long, and they're massive, massive magnets that shoot it, and it goes round and round and like collects speed, and there's two of them, and once it reaches, it makes a boom, and they can see what kind of particles leave it. You got some other stuff that comes out of it. It's really interesting. But if you actually have like a magnet and you actually put some by the way, don't put a strong magnet to your computer, because it will just fry everything. Well, not fry, it would just destroy it, especially the old computer, which, it's just, especially with a CDR screen, because the screen actually goes to the magnet. It's weird. So you better be careful with those powerful magnets, because it sometimes can destroy your information. You know what could destroy your information permanently? A neutron star or a magnetar. Their magnetic field is so strong that it just wipe everything, even radiation. So that doesn't matter, but it's really cool how it does create a magnetic field. But if there is proof of how strong that is there a way to actually get there? As there's one Blackbird, it's made out of titanium. It's too expensive. A balloon? I don't know. Would it pop when a sprite comes near it? But sprites are very rare, and they're very unexpected. So we have to figure out where, somewhere. We have to make sure to how strong is a magnetic field. This would be very interesting, because if it does make a small magnetic field, that means that if we have a solar storm, these sprites could one day save us. These could be the only lasting things to actually help our atmosphere with the magnetic field temporarily. If we figure this out, we can actually make a magnetic field strong enough to even support warp technology. Now, obviously, you're thinking, what? Star Trek? Well, yeah, I mean, Star Trek, they used, um, they did have a magnetic field, but the magnetic field seems to have a more realistic attraction. Maybe put some like attractive material in that warp technology to stabilize it. I don't know. That's just, I have to believe we actually done warp technology. It's just it's classified. But if it's actually a real thing, I mean, it is possible because you know they probably make it as a weapon if other people have it. So that's why they're keeping it secret until I guess everybody becomes nice. I don't think that's gonna happen. Because yeah, but that doesn't matter because yeah. So yeah, T transmit emission. Wait, what was it called? I think it was here. Yeah, TLE. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's just it's very yeah. So I don't know if you anything, but it's something that I put up and I really sort of want to talk about. But yeah, it was I'd love to see one. That'd be amazing. I would love to see a sprite. I would probably have to, as long as it's not raining, but it's daytime. But I guess when the next storm comes, I guess, but I have to plan it, which the storm when it comes over, it has to be. If its storms are this active, there's only a chance that there's be a sprite, and I would love to take a picture of that. It would be just amazing. I don't know what, but my mom would definitely help me because she knows what she knows how to take pictures. So yeah, it's gonna be sort of really hard because we're gonna have to have a very quick action. You know, we're gonna have to figure out a way to take a picture of it with high resolution and able to do most things to it. But obviously, oh, I'm sure I've been yawning. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. See ya.